The X-Men ain't so united in X-Men United #1. The issue starts with Emma informing everyone that in about 10 o'clock they'll be allowed to go to Gray Matter Lane. From here, we're shown that Gray Matter Lane is actually a mindscape that Emma and Kitty have created. And we also get a look at all of the mutants that we'll possibly see popping up in the issue. Some pretty random, like random. And then over there on the right, is that Vulcan? And on the front splash page, we get a look at some of our key characters. I don't know if this is going to be rotating every issue or is this like the main cast? Because we do see a lot of our X-Men involved, which makes sense. But then it's the student mentors that get me. Axo, Bronze, Melee, Rift, and Sophie Cuckoo. And the fact that Sophie and Prodigy are here and the fact that these four are here shows me that the book is going to be more of a continuation of Exceptional X-Men and NYX. So I'm guessing later we'll see other characters like Sync, Miss Marvel, and Enola who were in NYX. But then at the bottom we have the students. Wolfer, Animalia, Lolo, who was rescued by Storm. Some of these mutants have the same amount of experience as some of the student mentors, so why they're not at the same level, I don't understand that. But turmoil, right? We also get to see how this Mind Palace campus is set up with a cafeteria. Don't know how food works here, but since everyone's technically an astral projection, a lecture hall, training rooms. And Kitty lets us know that she's going to be the headmistress this time around, not Emma. Or Scott, which I'm getting to. Once they explain how the campus works and that it's based off of technology from Mr. Sinister, Cyclops rightfully crashes out. We already went through the whole Sins of Sinister event where his technology can imprint himself onto other people, so now they're using it to set up this campus. And Kitty even says they couldn't get through all of his defenses, so why would you do that? Scott decides to leave, but leaves his people there. Like, the students who are under him, and everyone seems to think he's just being Scott. And then Rogue makes it worse by saying, yeah, we got all these people in the school, but we can't trust everybody. We've all fought each other at all times. I feel that there are two different ideologies going on here. Like, Kitty and Emma want to make it open to all mutants, which is why we got the Random and Vulcan. But for Rogue to say, yeah, we can't trust none of y'all. When Juggernaut is on the team, she was once a villain and Emma was once a villain. Like, why sow the seeds of dissent? I hate writing that just creates turmoil to create turmoil. Then we get introduced to how the Danger Room is going to work here, where Logan and Laura are going to be in charge. We actually understand how the student mentors work. Because here, Bronze is called a 2X, meaning she's a sophomore. I do like the idea of having a system of graduating to X-Men, but one of the characters they have here is Wolf Cub, who technically was on an X-Men team at one point, was at the old school before it blew up, and probably has more experience than all the characters here. Two of the characters even bring that up, like, shouldn't we be 2Xs? And of course, not everyone's going to get along because some of these people are young teenagers and some of them are adults. And of course, what happens, someone gets hurt, someone goes out of control. It has to be Wolf Cub, the one that should have the most control, which they do later bring up, saying it's like the idea of the fact they're inside of the subconscious, so he doesn't have as much control as usual over his feral state. But they had to give us an idea that in this universe, they still can get hurt outside. So you got to add some danger to the whole, we're inside the brain. And then we're introduced to the empathy engine, which is their new version of Cerebral, which allows the character Axo to go out and find new mutants that based off of their like emotional state. Again, this is technology from Sinister. And this actually exists in the real world, not on Gray Matter Lane. I just know this is going to come back to bite them in the ass. I just know it. We then see how they recruit new mutants instead of it coming out in the message in the head. One of the students goes and recruits another student by giving them an invitation that imprints whatever they needed to say on it in order for them to come to Gray Matter Lane, which seems a little bit like coercion, but that's for another day. I guess they still have to like want to come. And then Sophie Cuckoo, Kitty Pryde, and Axo go back to Veritop, which is owned by Mr. Sinister, to get more technology. And from here, I'm just like, y'all, what? And Kitty finds a clone of Lockheed that she's calling Marigold that she's allowed into Gray Matter Lane. There is just so much. It's all going to be revealed like Sinister is doing all this, right? It has to be. And then we get Scott and Glob discussing what went on that day. Scott's like, nobody needs to be there. This is dangerous. I agree with Scott. This is dangerous. And Glob just says to him, admit it, you're afraid of Emma? Where in in the hell did that come from? Those two were in a long-standing relationship and he trusts her with his life. Now all of a sudden, you're scared of Emma. And Scott says, no, that's not it. They just need to learn. And he proceeds to burn down Gray Matter Lane somehow? I mean, I guess Rogue was right about the danger coming from the inside, but how do you burn down a mental construct? At the end of the day, this just isn't a good issue. The writing is all over the place. They're like creating dissent to create dissent when you got characters that have been good guys for 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, two of your main leaders were villains. So for Rogue to say we can't trust anybody, I'm like, huh? Plus the dynamics of the school, there are great sides. I like the fact that there's like the progression system with the 2X, but the fact you have characters like Melee and Bronze who've only been at it for a year over characters like Wolf Cub who've been around for like 20 years and are above him. Then the way Cyclops is acting, he's always been the more pragmatic person in the group. He would want the X-Men to reach out to new people, but he does bring up some concerns. But for him to possibly be the one to had set the fire in the way he's acting, it seems a little out of character. Though, again, because Sinister is involved, I can see part of that. But I can see him also wanting to work with Emma and Kitty on a way to do something similar without using that technology. Him just leaving, but then leaving his people there doesn't make sense. His whole Alaska team has been doing their own thing. He's like, hey, whatever, man, we got this. We're the army. Y'all reach out to all the new folks. Cool. I think the biggest issue is that the X-Men have no identity right now. In the early 2000s, they were made as the school. During the Decimation era, it was survive at all costs. Even the Krakoan era is like all mutants are one. But ever since that, they have had nowhere to go. They tried it with the Age of Revelation, and they made it this big event that just kind of flopped. Who knows when we'll get any type of follow-up to that. And I just expect more from writers when it comes to them, instead of just like, they love the fact that, well, the X-Men should always be fighting each other. I don't want to read that. I'm pretty much going to stick with the book at this point just to see the absurdity, and hopefully it finds its way. Maybe there's already some stuff seeded. Again, it was only the first issue, so who knows where it's going to go. But this isn't the best launch of a quote-unquote new era or new book that I've seen in a while. This one gets like a 6 out of 10 for me because there are some good points, but the bad outweigh the good.